the installation of the struts onto the light bar arms, and what we're showing you here is more or less the way that I do it, but we're going to be able to modify it so you can do it as well. And basically what that means is you're going to be putting these on when the light bar is fully assembled and sitting on the control box like you would be using it normally. And let's go over the parts. So when you receive this, you're going to get these plastic frisbee shaped pieces, 2 of those, 2 of these square looking pieces, 6 bolts, and 6 acorn nuts. And so acorn nuts basically tell you that they're covered on one end, and so you can screw them in and there won't be a bolt exposed on the other side. There's going to be a drill bit that's included, an Allen key, 4 of these ball joints. I'm only showing you one right now, but you'll get 4. 2 of these struts, and these struts already have the socket attached to it. This one doesn't have it because I ran out when I'm making this video, but you'll have them and they'll look like this, ready to go. There'll be some glue, an 8mm wrench. The only thing you do need to supply is a flathead screwdriver. And so those are the parts, and when it's done it will look like this. So we have the frisbee thing on here, one of the ball joints, and the other ball joint already attached onto here and locked in place on the arm. Now you can see this part of the arm is going to be the upper section of it. Here's the lower section that goes into the control box, like that. And the strut itself, when we are putting this together, you can see I'm pulling back this safety piece. So I can get focus on this. Pulling back this safety piece, and that allows you to put the ball joint in place. And I am going to show you on this side. Just hangs loosely, has a lot of wiggle, and when you need to take it off, pull down. We'll do that again. Pull down and out. Focus. Come on, give me focus. Give me focus. Okay. So here we are, pulling down, sticking that in, and it locks in place. Pull it out, and if you get this and that is not quite sitting happy, you just turn it until you can see it. And the same goes for total alignment on the top and bottom, and we'll show you that more in a bit. But you can rotate this black sleeve in order to get these two to line up together along the same axis. And let's set this up for the next shot. So we're going to make a quick change on this. What I just remembered is that since you already have this cable in one of the 2 arms that you have, this particular arm cannot get these mounted because you have that cable running inside here. When you drill, what it's going to do is drill through that cable and your light bar will no longer work. So you can we're only going to send one, and put it in the one that does not have this cable. And then you'll be fine with the rest of the instructions. So when it comes time to physically working with this, the best way to do it is to keep the light bar mounted. And what we're going to do is the middle joint out of the upper, middle, and lower portion of the control arms is the one that we're going to be focusing on right now, where we take the disc shape off of one side, and it's going to be the side that has the flathead screw that you can gain access to. And you're going to want to unscrew that. Take those off. You can throw them out. We don't need them anymore. There is a little metal round bar that you're going to want to be conscious of not having pull out. If it does, gingerly put it back in and keep it in place loosely. That needs to be there for the following steps. We are going to take one of the ball joints and screw it in place. With that 8mm wrench, take that and go ahead and give it some nice hard turns. Make sure that it's nice and tight. It's going to be something where if you take one finger on the wrench itself, it's going to leave a small indentation in your finger. Maybe turn that part of your finger white. That's when you know it's a nice amount to tighten it up with. And the next thing we're going to do is take one of those white frisbee shaped pieces that came with the unit, and we're going to place that over this as so. Now that's going to be your new cover plate. That's where the glue comes in. The glue is basically contact cement. So take off the cap, put some on the flat surfaces on here. You'll see 4 indentations. You don't need to put it on those. Just on any of the flat surfaces. You're going to put a somewhat thicker film. If you had a very, very thin film that you could barely see, you're going to want to make it thicker than that. And the same thing holds true on this side. You can just smear it all around it. It doesn't matter where it goes on this one. You can just do an even amount. Let it sit for about a minute. Go ahead and place it on there, and it's going to start to stick. But we're going to want to make sure that that sets up nice. So take some take some blue tape, or maybe any kind of tape that you have, and loosely place it on there, and you can do the top and bottom. Reason being is that we just need that to set up nice. And you're going to be able to take that off in about 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe by the time you're done, go ahead and pull it off and you're good. So we have that set up, ready to go. And the next step is to go ahead and mount one of your struts. And for this purpose, we're going to mount it so the whole white part is sitting on here. So you can see that's what it's looking like. Give me a minute to set this up for the next shot. And that is where we are going to use these pieces. If I had enough of the ball joints, I'd be able to put one in here and show you. But essentially, these are going to sit right on here. And there's only one way to do it, because one side is going to be blocked and the other side is going to be the ball joint in it. And I most likely will already have put that ball joint in place for you, so the only one you'll have to put in is down here in the middle. Next step is to bring this up and attach it onto it. So you would, in effect, have this working as one whole piece. And by the way, the arm needs to be in the full up position, so these two pieces don't show any space in between. They're not like that, but they're instead sitting like that. So when this is attached, that is the correct height to work at with this. And I'm just going to take a minute and put one of these in place so we can show you what I'm doing. So this is now attached, and you can see where it goes, the other piece follows. And it's also attached on the bottom as well, so you know that's the right height. With your drill bit, put it into your drill, and go ahead and drill the very top one, and drill through halfway, and then finish on the other side. So you're not going to drill all the way through, but only halfway, and then follow up on the other side. The reason being is sometimes I am not very good at judging this angle or this angle or whatever, so I'll drill it cockeyed, and then I have this really big hole on the other side that I can't use. So drill them from both sides, and then you're good. For the very first one, that's what you're doing with this attached. So when it is attached and it's all good, we're going to jump over to the other one that's a finished product. So with that drilled, we put our first bolt and acorn nut in. And the acorn nuts on this particular model are facing on the other side of this. If you want them on the same side as the strut, you're going to need to make sure that the strut is always the black side up towards it. Otherwise, if it's like this, when you bring this down, the big white part is going to collide with this acorn nut, which is why we didn't do it on this one. If you're concerned about remembering to do that, mount the acorn nuts on this side. I like actually putting them on this side because then all the bulky stuff's on one side. And so when you get that first one done, you can go ahead and take this off and finish drilling the same way on the other two. And that way you don't have the strut in the way and your drill's not going to be hitting it and things like that, because you already know what's going on, it's already secured, and when you're drilling, just make sure that you've pushed down enough that it's not going to be drilled weird. And these little nuts will use a Phillips head on it, and you can just use an adjustable wrench or a pair of pliers on the acorn nut to tighten that up. You're going to give it a pretty good amount of tightening. I wouldn't overdo it. There is going to be an adhesive inside of the nut that helps secure it in place so it doesn't come out on its own. And you get that all done, and now we are going to go through the process of adjusting these shocks, these struts. So with these struts, if you're looking at the white side of it, you're going to see an adjusting piece here. And so when this is on the unit for both of them, and everything is all set up without the crystals, and you can move it up and down, you're going to see how much pressure you need inside of these. So this key is an adjustment key for the pressure. Now, I've done a really good job to try to get it to the spot where we need it to be. However, we may need to change the amount of air. So if you listen closely, when we crack this counterclockwise. A little bit of air comes out. And that's as much as you want to come out. So as soon as you hear it, tighten it back up. Just like that. And test it each time. So crack, close, test. And you do it for both of them. So crack, close, test, then do the other one, crack, close, test. Test out the overall amount. You're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more right now, because there may be time where it's like, oh, okay, but I should have gotten this where you need it to be. And that is how to adjust it. If you let all the air out, I can't help you. You have to buy a new strut and do it over again. The struts are $15. So there we go. And good luck with that.